Hi, everyone. Okay, let's start. Friday, September actually, 1990. I was 9 years old. It was the perfect winter day. Anjad, the perfect winter day. The smell of barbecue was in the air. 20 children were playing around, making memories, having the best time. That night, for some reason, we had a sleepover, something my parents would never, ever allow. So I was buzzing with excitement. But that night, a part of me disappeared. I won't go into details, but I was sexually assaulted by a cousin. This is the first time I say this. Okay, okay. And thank you. And honestly, if you knew me back then, I was, as my dad would call me, محامية الدفاع, the girl who would never back down, المسحوبة من لسانها, you know. I had the most loving and caring parents. So it was actually bizarre that something like that would happen to me. But it did. And that night, I lost something far worse than my own strength. I lost my voice and my belief in it. And for 27 years, I wondered why I didn't tell anyone, why I didn't hold him accountable, why I didn't confront him. For 3 decades, I carried that silence with me. I carried that silence with me to the point where I lost a huge part of me, and I thought that if I don't mention that thing, if I don't mention the incident to anyone, it will disappear. But it turns out, if you suppress your voice, it doesn't disappear. It festers, and it grows inside you like this unanswered question: why didn't you speak up? And oh my God, being the person I was and thinking, I realized that silence doesn't erase pain, and it doesn't erase the truth. It cements it. And for decades, I carried that silence like a stone in my throat. Fast forward 30 years or a couple of decades, I'm a mother, I'm an educator, I'm a literacy advocate, and thank God, I'm going to say thank God, the pandemic happened. The forced stillness, the time to sit with my own thoughts. This forced silence made space for my silence to speak up. And the voice of that 9-year-old girl reappeared. And I did something terrifying. I went to therapy. And by the 10th session, I just blurted it out. I said I was sexually assaulted when I was 9. And the first thing that therapist told me was, Deema, it's okay, you're a victim, it's not your fault. And I got so angry. Victim? You know, that's the weakest word. I hate that word. I had spent 27 years living my life, graduating from school, from university, getting married, falling in love, you know, pretending that that incident never happened. And then you're telling me I'm a victim? But that's when it hit me. I am a victim. I'm a victim. We all know, and as an educator, I know very, very well the numbers. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 13 boys are sexually assaulted, and 80% of them do not ever tell anyone. And I was part of the statistics. So I thought of that 9-year-old girl, and I thought, I want to give those children the words that I wished I had before. And I decided to find the courage and use my voice to co-author the first Arabic children's book about body safety, هذا جسمي لا تلمسني. And that process was healing. You know, writing the book, putting all the words and giving children this opportunity to know their rights, find the words, find the strength. It was, honestly, it was liberating. It was like I was reclaiming part of who I am. But the publishing process was not that. It wasn't that at all. Many publishers rejected us. Many publishers were pushing back on content. They thought it was too controversial, too sensitive, too much, But I knew one thing. Sexual abusers do not distinguish between religion, socioeconomic background, education, geography. They actually thrive and they grow in silence. And that is when I decided to fight for this book. And we fought for this book and we won. A publisher finally agreed to publish it, but they cautiously decided to, or agreed to, print 1,000 copies of this book, hoping that they'll be able to sell it by at least a year. We sold out in 3 weeks only. And after, alhamdulillah. And after selling the first 1,000 copies and the next 1,000 copies and the next 10,000 copies, this book became like a movement. And I thought, Deema, this is it. This is what your voice is for. This is why you're here. But the truth is, when you find the courage to speak up for the truth and for justice, you can never back down. You can never be silent again. So, in October 2023, the world I know, and I guess we all knew, shifted. Everything that was happening in front of me, the way I allowed myself to believe and like in international justice, in humanity, in empathy, this was shattered. It was completely shattered. I saw families being torn apart, olive trees burned to ashes, children silenced in their sleep while they're eating, while they're playing. And I knew in my heart that I cannot be silenced anymore, and I will not be quiet, and I need to speak up. And that's, the truth is, then I write children's books in Arabic. I never wrote an English book before. I don't have a budget. I didn't have a distribution plan. I had absolutely nothing. All I knew is that I had one thing that mattered the most, which is my unwillingness to allow anyone to silence me once more. So I decided to self-publish a 30,000-word book in English called 48 Stories of Exile from Palestine. And I wanted to create a space for 48 voices of resilience, of existence, of truth. And this is what came out of this project. The process of actually writing this, it took us only 12 weeks to publish this book. And anyone who works in publishing would know that is insane. So when I started working on this book, I knew a few things. I didn't want anyone to restrict these voices or these truths. I didn't want anyone to influence them. I didn't want anyone to dictate the timeline. So I decided to self-publish. And when I decided to self-publish, I decided to go to my amazing online community. And through my online community, shout out to them because they're amazing. I'm Ajad. I managed to find a project manager, an editor, 20 proofreaders, 48 authors, 13 illustrators, a graphic designer, and every single one of them, including myself, worked on this project pro bono. Because I wanted this project to have an impact on Palestinian children today. And although there was this outpouring of support and really like this huge, beautiful community around it, there was also fear. People were afraid to share their stories, their exile stories. Bookstores were afraid to carry this book. Online trolls were ready to attack me at any moment. Other platforms were ready to silence me. But I knew that this book needs to happen, that I need to create this space for Palestinians to not be silenced, to be able to tell their truth. So I decided that this was the easy part for me. Now, the hard part, convincing people to buy this book. A lot of people told me, Deema, People are bored of these stories. Everyone knows them. You know, no one's going to read anthologies. But I didn't care. And I'm so glad I didn't care. I priced this book at $48. $1 to honor every single family who shared their story. And I made sure that every single dollar goes directly to the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund to support amputated and orphaned children in Gaza. And once this book was published, to my surprise, people loved it. They bought it, they gifted it, they read it, they debated it. I have university graduates who used it as part of their graduation projects. I have other schools using it as part of their reading logs. But the most important thing is that people were discussing the truth when the truth itself was being what? Silenced. And alhamdulillah, after this, we sold over 4,000 copies of this book, and we managed to raise $200,000 for Palestinian amputated and orphan children in Gaza. Alhamdulillah. Honestly, this is where I had a moment of clarity. I realized that this is what I've been preparing for all my life. You know, for years, I thought it was about me finding my voice, but I was wrong. This was not just about me. It truly was not about me. This was about something much bigger. This is about, you know, finding, not only myself finding my voice, but I remember the first time I lost my voice, it took me 10,592 days to reclaim it. The second time, I refused to wait because I learned the greatest lesson of all. Words are not just ink on paper. Words, they are a force. They are a weapon, a shield, a legacy. They can silence or they can amplify. They can erase or they can preserve. And I stand here today in front of you as the 9-year-old girl whose voice was taken away from her, as the woman who reclaimed it through children's books, as the activist who used it to fight for something much bigger than herself. You have a voice. Use it. Speak for the silenced. Write the stories that they want preserved. Defend the truth that they want amplified. And because really, sorry, I'm getting emotional. Because if I'm going to ask you one question, is truly, truly ask yourself, who is authoring your story? And if it's not you, are you ready to reclaim it? Thank you. Thank you.